Tapa Pratavari Jana Edina Jamini Yagide Vipale Sevino Kripana Dora Jana Vipale Sevino Kripana Dora Jana Sapala Tukalava Kalaba Dagire Dono Yovana Tushapari Jana Ekeke Akepara Kamala Jala Jala Jivana Talamala Kamala Jala Jala Jivana Talamala Rajaho Hari Pada Para Jana Chaki Jana Nani Re Jana O Jana Chaki Jana Nani Re Jana Translation.
O mind, just worship the lotus feet of son of Nanda.
Who is that son of Nanda?
Krishna.
Okay. Which makes one fearless.
Which makes one fearless, having obtained this rare human birth, cross over this ocean of worldly existence to the association of saintly persons. Both in the day and at night I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of the heat and cold, the wind and the rain. For a fraction of flickering happiness, I have uselessly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons and family members? This life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. It is the desire and great longing of Govindadasan to engage himself in the 9 processes of Bhakti, namely, hearing the glories of Lord Hari and chanting those glories, constantly remembering him and offering prayers to him, serving the Lord's lotus feet, serving the Supreme Lord as a servant, worshipping him with flowers and incense and so forth, serving him as a friend, and completely offering the Lord one's very self.
Jai Govinda Das. Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Hey, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Rajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Rajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanatari. Yamuna Tira Vanatari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Om Jnana Timirandasya Janagana Salakayam Chakshusmritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhishta Tapitam Jena Bhutale Trayamukha Kadamaya Dadati Sa Padantika Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Vadakamala Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sa Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Sajivam Sadvautam Sadvarutam Parijana Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitam Sha. Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarivasya Kripa Sindhu Vaivacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We're reading Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 9, text 29, translation and purport. His divine grace is Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. We have it? Is it on the border? No, that's okay. Samoham Sarvabhutesu. Samoham Sarvabhutesu. Name Dvesho Strinapriyaha. Name Dvesha Strinapriyaha. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya. Maite te suchapyaham. Maite te suchapyaham. Samoham sarvabhutesu. Name dvesho stinapriyaha. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya. Maite te suchapyaham. Bolo.
Samoham sarvabhuteshu.
Samoham sarvabhuteshu.
Name dvesho asti na piya.
Name dveshosti na piya.
Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya.
Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya.
Mayi te teshu chapyaham.
Mayi te teshu chapyaham. Samaha. Equally disposed. Aham. I. Sarvabhuteshu. To all living entities. Na. No one. Me. To me. Dveshya. Hateful. Asti. Is. Na. Nor. Priya. Dear. Yea. Those who. Bhajanti. Render transcendental service. To. But. Mam. Unto me. Bhaktya. In devotion. Mai. Are in me. Te. Such persons. Tesu. In them. Cha. Also. Api. Certainly. Aham. I. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So here we see Krishna, because every living entity is a particle of Krishna. Mama Vamsa Jiva, okay? We're all particles of Krishna, so he doesn't hate anyone. He's not envious of anyone. Vaishu can also mean envy or hateful. He's equal to everyone. But still, one who becomes his devotee, then he reciprocates accordingly. He doesn't hate the demons. He doesn't. There's no devil or something like this. A concoction. The devil. No. They're demoniac people, yes. But even then, when Krishna kills them, they go to they come to the Brahmajyoti. They get out of the material world just because they were killed by Krishna. So he's equal to all. He's clearly saying. Sama sarva bhutesu. Sama means equal. I am equal to everyone. But still, we can take advantage of the fact that he's inclined to his devotee, which is natural. Prabhupada's going to point that out in the purport. One may question here that if Krishna is equal to everyone and no one is his special friend, then why does he take special interest in the devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental service? But this is not discrimination. It is natural. It is natural. For any person, it's natural. If somebody loves us, we are inclined to be favorable to them. Isn't it? Isn't that our experience in our own life? If someone is like our mother, very kind to us, then naturally we feel kindness for her. She's not an ordinary woman for us. She's our mother. She helped us in so many ways. So in the same way, Krishna is a person. He has feelings. So if someone loves him, then naturally he's going to reciprocate. As you take a step to Krishna, he takes 2 steps to you. This is not discrimination. Any man in this material world may be very charitably disposed, yet he has a special interest in his own children. The Lord claims that every living entity, in whatever form, is his son, and so he provides everyone with a generous supply of necessities of life. He is just like a cloud which pours rain all over, regardless of whether it falls on a rock or land or water. But for the devotee, his devotee, he gives specific attention. Such devotees are mentioned here. They are always in Krishna consciousness, and therefore they are always transcendently situated in Krishna. The very phrase Krishna consciousness suggests that those who are in such a consciousness are living transcendentalists, situated in him. The Lord says here distinctly, Maite, they are in me. Naturally, as a result, the Lord is also in them. So again, this is common sense. He's a person, he has feelings, he has likes and dislikes. He's not just some mechanical thing without feeling. Like the Mayavadis claim he's just some energy. No, God is a person and he has likes and dislikes. For instance, he liked that Yudhisthira be the emperor. And because of his desire, then it turned out that Yudhisthira became the emperor. So whatever Krishna, you can say, likes, it comes to pass. So similarly, he would like all of us to come back to the spiritual world. So it can come to pass, but he doesn't force us. He's a loving person. But he comes himself to speak Bhagavad Gita. And anybody who reads Bhagavad Gita in a neutral way, objective way, will become a devotee of Krishna, because this is what he's requesting over and over again. Man manabhava mad bhakta. We're going to read that verse, which is coming at the end of this chapter. And he repeats the same verse again in the 18th chapter. The same half a verse. Man manabhava mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru. Become my devotee, surrender unto me. So this is the message of Bhagavad Gita. There's no other verse that's repeated twice, the same two lines. Because he's emphasizing here in the 9th chapter and again in the 18th chapter. Man manabhava mad bhakta. Become my devotee. This is the goal of Bhagavad Gita. And it's very clearly, in every chapter, you'll find evidence that Krishna wants us to become his devotee, and that's the best thing for us. But he can't force us. You don't want to, what can he do? Sometimes people complain, well, why doesn't God force us to? No, because he's not a forceful person in that way. Because love, he's looking for love. Love is not something that can be forced. That's called rape. He doesn't force us, nor would we want to be forced. So, that's why the material world is here, and why there's so many problems, because people don't want to cooperate with Krishna. They don't want to put him in the center. But this is the message of all the great acharyas. And we have 4 acharyas, sampradayas. They're all saying that we should worship the Lord. And the Christians are also saying, and the Muslims are also saying, monotheistic, yes, we should please God. But how do we know it's pleasing to God? So therefore we need Shastra. And fortunately, we need Guru also, and Prabhupada has come. We don't deserve any credit. All we did is agree to the message that Prabhupada was giving us. Not very difficult. Just agree. And if there's something you think that's wrong here, or something that's, you could say, not in harmony with your conception of God, then we can answer your questions. But we think it's very consistent and very pleasing that God is inclined to us. He doesn't have to be. We've turned away from him. In a sense, we've stabbed him in the back. And we've left him. And we're envious of him. And we want to put ourselves in the center and push him out of the way. So what claim do we have? But still, he gives us a chance. He creates the material energy in such a way, that intelligent person will be frustrated and turn to the Lord. This is the purpose of the material energy. It's giving us a chance to correct our wrong mentality. And the chance is open to everyone, in the human form especially. So we should take advantage. Now we have this human form. Instead of just acting like 2-legged animals, we should act like proper human beings and inquire. The difference between animals and men, humans, that they can inquire. Who am I? What is the meaning of life? Why am I suffering? Why there's so much conflict in the world, so much violence in it? Why? That's a good question. We have the answers. Not me, but Krishna, and we can represent Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. Represent the actual situation. So this is the test. we want to test if somebody is actually sadhu, then we should see. We can question them. By their language we can know. Are they putting Krishna in the center? Is their motive to please Srila Prabhupada and Krishna? Then we can accept them as sadhus. If they want to use religion for their own aggrandizement, then we reject them. Naturally, as a result, the Lord is also in them. This is reciprocal. This was also explained, the words, Ye yatam apapadyante tam satami bhajami aham. Whoever surrenders unto me, Krishna says, proportionately, I reciprocate with him, or I take care of him. This transit of reciprocation exists because both the Lord and the devotees are conscious. When a diamond is set, so that's an important one. In other words, again, we come to the point of consciousness. We're not dead stones, and neither is God. So conscious beings, they do things reasonably. So if somebody pleases me, I want to please them. That's natural. If somebody displeases me, then I avoid them. That's also natural. So Krishna doesn't hate us, he just avoids us until we get corrected. And he comes himself, he speaks, he sends his representatives trying to correct us. But if we don't want to be corrected, what can be done? So the first step is to take correction, is admit that we did something wrong. But people are not ready to do that due to false ego and pride. They think that they're fine, that they haven't made any big mistake. Nobody thinks they made it. And if they do, sometimes they commit suicide or something, but that's not wanted. Krishna's in our heart. If we're sincere, he'll help us. And the first sign that he's helping us, he sends us into the association of devotees. When a diamond is set in a gold ring, it looks very nice. The gold is glorified, and at the same time, the diamond is glorified. The Lord and the living entity eternally glitter. And when a living entity becomes inclined to the service of the Supreme Lord, he looks like gold. And the Lord is a diamond. And so this combination is very nice. Living entities in a pure state are called devotees. The Supreme Lord becomes the devotee of his devotee. If a reciprocal relationship is not present between the devotee and the Lord, then there is no personal philosophy. In the impersonal philosophy, there is no reciprocation between the Supreme and the living entity. But in the personalist philosophy, there is. So this point was coming up last night in the class here, right? That the reciprocation between the Lord and the living entity. So this is practical, common sense. If we accept that God is a person, then this is very simple to understand. Because every person has their likes and dislikes. And therefore, it's stated that, like Raghunath Das, he loved Krishna 20,000 times more than himself. So that's the kind of thing that is hard for us to comprehend, because everyone loves himself the most. We haven't never met anybody like that. But we saw it with Srila Prabhupada too. He loved the order of his spiritual master. He took that order, even against the doctor's recommendation. He should stay in India. He should keep the warm climate and so on. No, he came back to the Western world. We were with him in, where was it? We were with him. It was so cold on a morning walk. I think it was in Germany, actually. No, where was it? Japan, yes. It was a cold day in Japan in January, and with his health, he shouldn't have been in Japan in the winter, but because he was trying to please his spiritual master, so he took the trouble. And on the morning walk, we went out. It would generally be a long walk, but this day it was so cold. Prabhupada was only gone 5 minutes, and he stopped the walk and he said, "It must be 0." And so we came back. But why was he even in that climate? with his health condition, because he was sacrificing for the pleasure of the Lord. And so the Lord sacrificed for his pleasure. He made such a wonderful, you can say, accomplishment in such a grand way. It couldn't be done by an ordinary person. It only could be done by a person who was empowered by the Lord, who was getting the Lord's mercy at every step. So that was Prabhupada's position. But from his side, he was always thinking how to please his spiritual master and Krishna. And that was very evident. He was staying up in the middle of the night, translating, because that was what his Guru Maharaj told him to do. So similarly, we can also become perfect by pleasing Srila Prabhupada. He's everybody's Guru, Shiksha Guru for the next 10,000 years. We know he liked his books distributed. We saw today people distributing books on Harinam with us. So this is the process. Chant the holy name, invite people to come, but there was no cards today.
Very little.
Huh?
Just a few.
We don't have invitation cards.
Got finished.
Huh? Finished?
No, the ones we had got finished.
Oh. Well, you know, Maharaj is going, we're going to get big crowds. You should have brought more. No, Maharaj, look at that last kirtan, it was a big crowd, right? And when he spoke, I was surprised. People stayed, and so many. He spoke for a long time. The German language, they must like his accent. They know you're really German, right? You're not a foreigner.
North German.
North German.
Plattdeutsch.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Well, the example is often given that the Lord is like a desire tree, and whatever one wants from this desire tree, the Lord supplies. But here the explanation is more complete. The Lord is here stated to be partial to his devotees. This is the manifestation of the Lord's special mercy to the devotees. The Lord reciprocation should not be considered to be under the law of karma. Just like what Prabhupada accomplished, it wasn't his karma. He had good karma, and so he was able to open up 100 branches all over the world in a few years. No, it wasn't karma. It belongs to the transcendental situation in which the Lord and his devotees function. Devotional service to the Lord is not an activity of this material world. It is part of the spiritual world, where eternity, bliss, and knowledge predominate. So we saw with our own eyes how Prabhupada was transcendental. And therefore, wonderful things were happening at every step. This week is documented. Nobody can do like that. One old man with no money, go to a foreign country, no friends, and in 10 years have an international society all over the world. No, it can't be done by karma. No money, no friends, no wife. How can he accomplish that? Krishna had to be involved. Just by reading Prabhupada's life, we must believe in Krishna. There's no other answer that what he accomplished, starting in an old age and starting everything fresh, new, by himself, single-handedly. Nobody was there to assist him in the early days. But this is a miracle. You want a miracle? Here's the miracle. And to bring so many people to Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is clearly saying, as we said, we should become devotee of Krishna. Man mana bhava mad bhakti. But nobody became a devotee. Even the Bhagavad Gita has been in the Western world for 400 years. I'm sure it's in Germany also, German language. Yeah.
It was one of the first translations into foreign language.
No, I'm talking about the original, like hundreds of years ago. Was it in German?
That was in 1400s.
Wow.
No. Actually, when
In other words, it's been in the West for hundreds of years. Bhagavad Gita. Like we know, Thoreau, Emerson, these are big, intelligent people on the English-speaking world. I'm sure there were German people who also read it. But nobody became a devotee. Although that's clearly what Krishna is saying. We needed Prabhupada to show us what it means to be a devotee. Just like we give the example. If a child is brought up in the forest by wolves, they don't learn how to walk. They remain crawling like the wolf does. They use their forelegs. Because there's no example of somebody walking on two legs, so they don't walk on two legs until they meet human beings and they train them again. So we need example, is the point I'm making, even to learn how to walk. The child sees everybody else is walking, so he doesn't get discouraged. He falls down. It's difficult. And he tries again. So Prabhupada, we needed Prabhupada. We needed his example, how to be a devotee. And then so many people became devotees. By following his example and, of course, his teachings. But the teachings are already there for hundreds of years. But nobody took them. So it's very important that we have the Acharya who teaches by example. Srila Prabhupada ki. Okay? That's the end of the purport. I'll read the verse again. I envy no one, Krishna says, nor am I partial to anyone. I'm equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Okay? Any comments, questions? Yes, sir.
Maharaj, Krishna is not envying anyone, and how, as a devotee, we can also imbibe the spirit of not envying anyone. Maybe can you give a few examples in last years?
Yeah, we can do that because if we preach to whoever we meet, then we won't be envious of anybody. We'll see them. We'll feel mercy for them. We'll feel compassion for them. We won't be envious of them. Why should we be envious of? So what if he's got millions of dollars? What is the use of it? He's not a devotee. He doesn't know how to spend his money. So it's easy to become non-envious of the materialists because they're all pitiable. They're all in a, like we were reading this morning, like the silkworm in the cocoon. They can't come out. They have no way to come out. So why should we be envious of them? Their future is very dark. They're going to accept old age, disease, and death. They have no choice. And again, packed up in the womb. So why should we be envious of them? Because they have more money. The Bhagavatam says someone has a silk turban, but he doesn't bow down to the Lord. That silk turban is simply a burden. And gold bangles on the lady's wrist. If her hand is not used in the service of the Lord, it's just a decoration of a dead body. So whatever they have, who would we envy? Powerful person? Putin's very powerful. Anybody want to wishes he was like Putin?
Wishes like?
You want to be in Putin's shoes?
I would like her to have some same power as Putin. Yes.
And what would you do with it?
Spread Krishna consciousness.
All right. But you see, Putin's way of spreading is by force. So if you have the same nature as him, then you're going to force people to become devotees. That's what the Muslims are doing, some of them, not all. Blowing up people, suicide bombers. They're forcing people by fear to become followers of Muhammad or Allah. So we don't have any force. We don't force. We offer nice prasad. We offer nice kirtan. We offer nice philosophy. And let them find out. But we can't force them. It's contrary to the mood of love. Okay, anyone else? Question? Yes.
Thanks for explaining. Can you also give in the context within devotees, like Indra was envying Prithu Maharaj?
Yeah, because Indra was not a pure devotee. He still had material motive. Therefore, he also sent clouds to disturb the residents of Vrindavan and Krishna. When Krishna was there, the attempt was made by Indra to disturb him. And he had to lift up the Govardhan hill. And later we know how Indra came to the feet of the Lord in apology. And only then the Lord said, okay, don't do it again.
But how can we avoid to come to that stage of learning like Indra? Can we already?
Yeah, by reading Bhagavad Gita, then we know more than Indra. Once a devotee, I was there, and asked Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, have you ever met Indra? So Prabhupada didn't like the question. He said, and how would it be different if I told you yes, I met him, or I didn't meet him? That was Prabhupada's response. But I was there, so I said, actually, Indra is eager to see Srila Prabhupada. That's a fact. So why would it probably be envious of Indra? It says that the pure devotee is the sum total of all the demigods. None of them are pure devotees, so why would we want to be like them? We want to be like Prabhupada, without any envy. He was free from envy. That's a fact. Even those who were cursing him, or like I told the story, was it last night about he was in South India and so many Brahmins came and they were giving him trouble. Prabhupada didn't retaliate. He just tolerated, smiling. And then a few minutes they left. So we want to be like that, without any spirit of retaliation. Just like now, we read, right, the president of Israel, so he's openly saying, we're going to crush these people because they started a war with us, and we're not going to be satisfied until we kill it, like that. So that's the natural tendency in the material world. We want to get even. We want to retaliate. And we're not saying that the Kshatriyas can't retaliate, but it has to be on principle of religion. They shouldn't be bombing the women and children. America did it too. They dropped bomb on Hiroshima. It wasn't an industrial city. It was just people living there. And they killed how many thousands, hundreds of thousands? Huh? Or was it millions? I don't even know. But what? So what? Because there's a Kali Yuga, nobody knows the principles of religion. The women and children should be protected. Okay, anyone else? Huh? Mr. Putin, you any I wouldn't want to be Putin. Okay, we'll do one more verse. This is a very important verse. 9:30. Api chet sudara charo bhajate mam anandabhak taroeva samantavya samyak vyavaisito hisaha. Translation. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is considered to be saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. So again, we can't take this as a license to commit sinful activity. This is a very grave offense to commit sinful activity on the strength of chanting Hare Krishna. But if someone has accidentally made some mistake, I probably give the example. We give up intoxication. But a boy may go home and he meets his friends and they're smoking a cigarette and he may also. But so something like that we can forgive. But not deliberate, with knowledge, commit a sinful activity. And we're going to have to suffer. One way or another, we will have to suffer. So better we become strict with ourselves. This is the first qualification. If we're not strict with ourselves, then it's not going to work. Because the propensity is there for illicit sex, especially. Propensity for intoxication, gambling, meat eating. So we can easily fall back to the sinful life. But still, Krishna is encouraging us here. Purport, the word sudarachara, used in this verse, is very significant. We should understand it properly. When a living entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditional, the other is constitutional. Conditional and constitutional. As for protecting the body or abiding by the rules of society and state, certainly there are different activities, even for the devotee, in connection with the conditional life. and such activities are called conditional. So that's why Prabhupada was not in favor of the devotees, some who were thinking we can steal for Krishna. No, we have to follow the law. This is conditional. We're living in a society, we have to follow the rules of society. And we should be careful about that. Even on the Harinam, we should be careful. We block the whole road and people have to go and crawl around to get past us. We should be aware that we're not causing inconvenience to others or disturbance to others. We have so many people there, we're chanting loudly, but we have to be a little alert and not to disturb. That's mentioned in the 12th chapter. The devotee doesn't put anyone in distress. Anyone. Even for the devotees in connection with the conditional life. And the activities are conditional, I mentioned that already. Besides these, the living entity who is fully conscious of his spiritual nature and is engaged in Krishna consciousness or devotional service of the Lord, his activities which are called transcendental. He has activities which are called transcendental. Such activities are performed in his constitutional position. So again, constitutional, originally we are Krishna conscious. Then condition, we're in the condition, like we can't be too loud in the morning here because the condition is the neighbors will be disturbed if we play loud madanga, right? So we have to do that. Now in the conditioned state, sometimes devotional service and the conditional service in relationship to the body will parallel one another. But then again, sometimes these activities become opposed to one another. As far as possible, the devotee is very cautious so that he does not do anything that could disrupt his wholesome condition. He knows that the perfection of his activities depends on his progressive realization of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as most abominable, socially or politically. But such a temporary fall down does not disqualify him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that if a person falls down but is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, the Lord, being situated within his heart, purifies him and excuses him from that abomination. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi, fully engaged in the service of the Lord, sometimes becomes ensnared. But Krishna consciousness is so strong that such an occasional fall down is at once rectified. Therefore, the process of devotional service is always a success. No one should deride a devotee for some accidental fall down from the ideal path. For as explained in the next verse, such occasional fall downs will be stopped in due course as soon as the devotee is completely situated in Krishna consciousness. Any comments, questions? Yeah.
Maharaj, in the Bhagavad, where there is sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as abominable, politically and socially.
Yeah.
Abominable socially or politically.
Yeah.
I'm not able to visualize any examples. What does this actually refers to?
It refers to you
Okay.
and me. That we sometimes do things that are not pleasing to the Lord. Like, for instance, we eat too much. We should understand this is not my body. This is given to me by Krishna, and I should keep it healthy. And by eating too much, it's not good for the body. Everybody knows that. Diabetes and so many things, because people eat too much. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita says, the yogi doesn't eat too much or eat too little. Doesn't sleep too much to sleep too little. Sometimes we sleep too much. And then we miss a chance to serve at that time. Instead of serving, we're sleeping. We do need sleep, but not too much. So nobody's perfect. At least I see in myself that the things that I do sometimes that I regret having done. And maybe you're more saintly than me. You don't have such a realization on occasions that you shouldn't have said that. Or even today, I got angry at Maharaj's disciple. Is he here? I told him to shut up in a strong voice because he was speaking so loud I couldn't hear Maharaj singing. So I got a little annoyed. But I should have said, please, we're listening to the kirtan. But instead I just acted. And then you regret. If he's here, I'll apologize. I'll see him next time. So that's little things like that, at least in my life, they come up. But maybe, I mean, some people probably don't have any problems. Maybe I'm just, my nature is kind of rough, so I do have run into problems like that on occasion. If I ask you all to forgive me if I said anything that discouraged you in any way. But anybody else want to make a comment on this, on his point? Yeah.
To that point, I wanted to ask, he's written that if you continue to perform devotional service, then you should be considered as a saint. But this person who commit this should regret this sinful activity.
You should be ashamed of it?
Can continue to do it.
No, he has to regret. Otherwise, how can he correct it? The devotee will always regret if he does something wrong. Because he's trying to be Krishna conscious and Krishna's in his heart, and Krishna will tell him, why did you say that? Why did you do that? You can't get away from Krishna, he's there with you. Therefore we should call each other Prabhu. And when Prabhupada was leaving the body, he was also asking forgiveness from his god brothers. He didn't do anything wrong, but he sometimes spoke harshly. But that was for their benefit. You want to speak more? Yeah.
Yeah, and another point, Maharaj, where it's mentioned about...
But do we understand the first point? Or I'm trying to understand you. Are you a pure devotee? No. Then sometimes you do things that are not pleasing to Krishna, because a pure devotee never does anything that's not pleasing to Krishna. So when you do something that's not pleasing to Krishna, then you should try to improve, try to rectify. That's the point that Krishna is making here. Because you're an aspiring devotee, Krishna will help you. But you have to be conscious of what you're doing. If you're disturbing somebody unnecessarily, then you have to stop that. We have to improve ourselves. Okay, next point.
That is on a self-reflection point. I understand that I might commit abominable activities, and in the Bhagavad, Prabhupada is saying if someone does such activity, we should still respect them as a devotee.
Yeah.
So this is complete. I understood. Thank you, Maharaj. My
No.
next question is about condition, because constitutional duty and conditional duty,
Yeah.
where you are mentioning if the government has set up some law, we should abide the law.
Yeah.
What if the law is corrupted? How should we deal with it?
Then we don't vote for them. We can. I mean, it's difficult. That's one of the things, the disadvantages of being here in the Kali Yuga, because there's no leaders who know the principles of religion, and they give bad advice. But I don't. Give me an example of something that the government is doing that's causing you to act sinfully.
Yeah. Example could be Putin.
Huh?
Putin, who is kind of forcing people to go and...
Yeah, so therefore a lot of people left Russia. A lot of young people left because they don't want to be forced. So that's, if you were there, you probably would have left. You said, I don't want to be in this country where they're forcing us to go in the battlefield to kill people when we're the aggressor. They were the aggressor, right? I mean, I followed the news. For 3-4 days before, they were saying, why is everybody so concerned? We're just bringing some troops here. We're not going to start any war. And then, they started the war. They were openly tricking. And I don't see how you can get away from saying he's an aggressor. One of the big, I respected it. I think if he's still, I don't know, he was like a NATO leader. I think he was German. And he was very clear, pointing out, not in a retaliatory way or envious way, the actual facts leading up to the war. It was started by Putin, and Putin knows that. And he even gave an explanation. It was on the television. It was one of his men said, was indicating maybe we shouldn't go to war. And Putin got very angry with him. Why are you saying like that? It's not a war, it's a, what does he call it? Police?
Peacekeeping mission.
Huh?
Peacekeeping mission.
Peacekeeping mission, something. Or some other thing. But he gave his ambition very clearly. He said the history was some Peter the Great or some Russian king who expanded the border of Russia so much. And so he said, and he did it by war. And so he wanted to be like him. He was his idol. So that's what he was trying to do. You know, for me, the thing that indicates Putin's guilt is Finland. Finland is living with Russia side by side. They never wanted to join NATO. They were always neutral. They're ready to help Russia. But even they want to be in NATO. Did they join NATO already? Yeah. Because everybody can see he's an aggressor. Next he can come to us. So why do we? Anyway, that's I hope there aren't some Russians here who... No, because I heard in Russia some devotees they think Putin is a great Kshatriya. But I mean, Kshatriya means principle of religion. You have to know. We don't bomb women and children. Just the other day, 2 days ago, there was a bombing in eastern Ukraine, in a small village. They killed, 10-year-old boy, so many 100 people. It wasn't why did he do that? Not like a tactically important place that you have to conquer. They're just because he has the missiles and he wants to put fear in the Ukrainians and discourage them. That's the example that the Americans gave when they bombed Hiroshima. Well, we want to end the war quickly. So that's just, but still, that's not Kshatriya. Kshatriyas don't do like that. Yes.
Today I heard a statement of Putin. He said when he was a young boy, he learned one thing that.
Why we're talking so much about politics? Sorry, but we are in the Bhagavad Gita class.
Yeah, which takes place on a battlefield. It takes place on a battlefield. Go ahead.
He said if the fight is unavoidable, then you have to be the first who start this fight. If the fight is unavoidable, this is a different.
The fight is unavoidable, but how?
If he wouldn't start, then another part would start.
No, but you're speculating that the fight is unavoidable, and so you start the fight first because it's unavoidable. But how do you know it's unavoidable? They've lived with Finland for how many? They did go to war with Finland one time during World War II. Anyway, okay, I agree. We should get off the topic of Putin. But the principles of religion are not known by the politicians, by the modern politicians. That's a fact. There are 99% of them in favor of abortion, which I heard Prabhupada personally say is very, very sinful. So Kshatriyas don't engage in sinful activities or condone sinful activities or encourage sinful activity. But then we can immediately limit him. He's not a Kshatriya because he's killing women and children. Then who are the Kshatriyas? There's no Kshatriyas. That's a fact. Anybody volunteer? You like to be Kshatriya? It's not so easy. You have to be ready to die in a second. When you see irreligion is being performed, you have to put your hand right there. Say, stop. No, you can't do this. That was Parikshit. He was a Kshatriya. As soon as he saw the Sudra in the dress of a Brahmin or a king, in the dress of a king, beating a bull, he took out his sword. He was ready to kill him. This is real Kshatriya. So Kali Yuga, don't expect. Prabhupada started in America a political party called, and they named it In God We Trust. But it didn't work. Prabhupada saw that my disciples are not that qualified. And so he disbanded. It's not an easy thing to be the king, to be ready to die in pits of religion. And so his you can say, recourse was, okay, this is democracy, we have to live with democracy, and try to vote for people who are following four regular principles. In India, we can They had some success with that line, but it's difficult. Who has a solution to the sins of the Kali Yuga? There's so many sins are being committed every second, and the whole atmosphere becomes polluted. And then we scratch our head. Why is there COVID? Why is there 2 wars going on now in the world? Serious wars. This Jewish thing is serious.
Thank you, Maharaj.
What has changed in your life when Srila Prabhupada left this planet?
Yeah.
And has your understanding of Guru Tattva changed?
No. Like I mentioned once before, that I felt a personal loss because I could always go to Prabhupada and he would always welcome me and I could talk and he could, he would listen and give advice and so on. So I felt that personal loss that Prabhupada was no longer there. But I didn't feel lost because his books is here, he's here. His institution is here. And we can work cooperatively to keep it running nicely. So we have service and we have direction. He's giving us direction in his books, and he gave direction before he left the planet. He told us cooperate together, push on the movement. His last will is there. So everything we can continue, but of course there's some personal feeling of loss.
Actually, Srila Prabhupada trained us in servant separation.
Tried us?
Prabhupada trained us to
Trained
serve
us.
in separation.
Yeah. That was the training from the beginning, that I'm going to leave the planet. There was some urgency because the warning was there. He had a heart attack coming on the boat, and the doctors, he was always thinking like that. Therefore, there was some urgency. He wanted to establish this movement. That's one of the reasons he gave me sannyas. I was only 29 years old, but he wanted somebody to go to Japan and help. There was some problem. So he was taking chance, giving sannyas, because sannyas, it makes it easier to travel and preach. And that was needed, to open centers and to keep centers open. So he sent me to Japan, and then I went to Korea to open a center there. And so that's what Prabhupada was pleased, that we were opening centers and keeping centers. Like once there was a criticism from some godbrother, because after I left Japan, Guru Kripa was there, and he was a little heavy, and so there was some bad press came about him, about their tactics of selling books. And it came in the paper, it even came in India. And so one of Prabhupada's godbrothers was criticizing, what is this? But Prabhupada said, yes, they're criticizing me in Japan, but I'm in Japan.
And he said, what are you doing in Japan?
Yeah, what, have you gone to Japan? Yeah, you're not there. In other words, he even told me once, I was in Japan for 3 years. It was difficult. But Prabhupada was encouraging me. He said, your being in Japan is good because then I can put on my letterhead that it branches in Tokyo. And that's what he wanted. He wanted to be able to present that it's an international society. And Tokyo is an important city in the world. So Prabhupada was pleased that we were keeping it open. And I was pleased that I made Prabhupada pleased by being there and keeping it open. It was difficult. Some more?
Maharaj, you were there when the first Krishna book was printed in Japan. The story, if you could share that.
Yeah, Prabhupada came before I was there, and he was dealing with Dinapan for the Krishna book. But then they found a better deal, so they started printing in America, I think, wasn't it? No, I wasn't there for that, Prabhupada, when he went for the dealing with Dinapan.
Yeah, another one. In the purport, I think we see the 2 fall downs, accidental and deliberate. So in Srila Prabhupada's pastimes also, we read so many devotees who fell down, but Prabhupada, he forgave them. They were even accidental or even if they were deliberate. So could you share some pastimes that could be related to this?
There was one. No, I don't think I do know how any. That was Prabhupada's special mercy. He kept people because, therefore, at the end he said, "For preaching I have done, but don't you do." He was talking to the GBC. Now you have to be. Everybody has to be ideal, acharya-like, or else they should be removed. Especially the leaders, in other words. So Prabhupada was helping some of the leaders, but at the last days he warned us that we shouldn't imitate him. I have done for preaching, he said. He could do it because it was his disciple and he had relationship with them and he knew he could control them in some way, so he could forgive abomination. But after he left, then the leaders especially should be ideal, above reproach. He gave the example of a white dress. If you're wearing a white dress, a little black mark should stand out. So he said, now we have a good reputation. We have to keep this ideal. Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. Okay, next question. Or comment, or what are we doing? Is it time for us to...
Maybe you can tell more about the love from Krishna to us, because your example was about the mother and the child, but this is actually so I suppose so a material love or material relationship, and Krishna is absolute, so he loves in the same way the demons and the devotees?
No, this is pointing out that he's equal to everyone, but he's partial to his devotee. He takes special interest in his devotee, and he tries to help them. But again, being a devotee is not so easy. We have to love Krishna more than ourselves. So it may take some lifetimes to come to that point. Prabhupada was encouraging us, we can finish in this lifetime, but we see some of his leading people weren't able to do that. They're still separated. Some of the big leaders are still, they're blaming Prabhupada. Well, Prabhupada shouldn't have given me sannyas. That's one of the big leaders. Still saying that. I won't mention his name. But he knows him well. Okay, anyone else? Yeah.
Maharaj, I'm struggling a lot to improve quality of chanting. Maybe can you help me with some tips?
Yeah, the key, I told a story, right? I once came in front of Prabhupada. I was waiting to give massage, and while I was waiting, I was chanting japa. And Prabhupada was doing some correspondence, and he stopped and looked at me. Said, you listen when you chant Hare Krishna? He asked me, do I listen when I chant Hare Krishna? So I was defensive in my mind. I was thinking, of course I listen, otherwise why am I doing it? So Prabhupada read my mind. He said, I know you listen. You have to listen very carefully. This chanting is the whole essence of our philosophy. That's what he told me. So you have to listen very carefully. Inattention is the mother of all offenses. So that we have to practice. We see, we're listening, but then our mind takes us, wow, what were we doing way over there? So we have to bring it back to, again, listening. Morning is the best time. Listen very carefully, best you can, and then your japa will improve, and you'll get more taste for it. Krishna will be there on your tongue more and more, and you'll feel happy to chant Hare Krishna. Actually, that's a good lesson for me, because today's Ekadasi. Prabhupada encouraged us to chant 25 rounds on Ekadasi, and I haven't finished my 25 rounds. But I see it's only 8 o'clock, so if we end now, I can go with your permission. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. We are happy to announce that we got books of Maharaj. As you know, Maharaj is a senior sannyasi in ISKCON and had so much of his association of Srila Prabhupada and services rendered. All such pastimes and exchanges Maharaj has put into this book, and it's been well received all over the devotees community. So if devotees would like to have this book, they can contact me, and Maharaj would personally sign this book.
What is the price?
It will charge like 8 to 10 euros.
Priceless, right?
Priceless. So no priceless. And I have to say, we actually counted these books in Bonn. They were being shipped from Holland, and we missed the bus, so we had to drive all the way to Bonn. So it's even more special.
So it's priceless, but we cannot put a price on it. Yes.
Yeah, I'd rather do it in my